Men in America podcast, hosted by OG FOXXIE. Welcome back to Black Men in America podcast. I'm your host, OG FOXXIE. Today, we're diving into some unfiltered political commentary from President Biden and Vice President Harris, contrasting it with the actions and words of Donald Trump. So let's get busy. The Appalachia school shooting. My prayers go out to all affected by the shooting. Vice President Harris said parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive.
So before I begin, I do want to say a few words about this tragic shooting that took place this morning in Winder, Georgia. We're still gathering information about what happened, but we know that there were multiple fatalities and injuries. And, our hearts are with all the students, the teachers, and their families, of course. And we are grateful to the first responders and the law enforcement that were on the scene. But this is just a senseless tragedy on top of so many senseless tragedies. And it's just outrageous that every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. It's senseless. It is. We've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. So we will continue, of course, to send our prayers and our thoughts to the families and all those who were affected, including, I'm going off script right now, but listen, at the last year, I started a college tour, and I traveled our country meeting with our young leaders, right? And so it was college-age young leaders. So I did trade schools, colleges, universities, community colleges. By the way, I love Gen Z. I just love Gen Z. But I'll tell you, one of the things I asked every time I went to the auditorium, and it would be filled with these young leaders, students, and I'd ask them, raise your hand if at any point between kindergarten and 12th grade you had to endure an active shooter drill. And for the young leaders who are here who are raising their hand, I'm telling you, every time the auditorium was packed and almost every hand went up. A lot of us, I'll speak about myself, we had, I grew up in California, earthquake drills, we had fire drills, but our kids are sitting in a classroom where they should be fulfilling their God-given potential, and some part of their big, beautiful brain is concerned about a shooter busting through the door of the classroom. It does not have to be this way. It does not have to be this way.
Donald Trump had a message for the victims of the school shooting.
Before going further, I want to send our support and our deepest sympathies to the victims and families touched by the terrible school shooting. To the entire community, we love you, we pray for you, and we ask God to heal and comfort really the whole state and the pain that you have. This is something that's very unique to your state, but have to get over it. We have to move forward. We have to move forward. Have to get over it. Have to get over it. We have to move forward. We have to move forward.
Just get over it is not very presidential. Trump said, I will roll back every gun safety provision passed by President Biden.
In my second term, we will roll back every Biden attack on the Second Amendment. The attacks are fast and furious, starting the minute that Crooked Joe shuffles his way out of the White House.
Assault weapons should be banned. Biden campaigns for Kamala Harris. Thank you, Joe Chance, before Biden starts to speak. Ditto to that sentiment. Thank you, Joe. President Biden, Unfiltered.
So, folks, we got one more job to do together. Let me ask you, are you ready to fight? Are you ready to win? Are you ready to elect Kamala Harris, our next president of the United States of America? And in the process, are you ready to make Donald Trump a loser again?
We are ready for Kamala to be our next president of the United States. Biden said, remember Trump for 4 years promised every month infrastructure week.
Remember Trump for 4 years promised every month infrastructure week. For 4 years he promised that. He didn't build a damn thing. Nothing. I mean, not nothing. Well, thanks to our infrastructure law, Pennsylvania so far has received $17 billion. $17 billion. Over 2,000 projects.
Trump is all talk, no action. Donald Trump would rather cross a picket line than walk one.
Folks, made a lot of progress. Kamala and I are going to build on that progress, and she's going to build on it. I'll be on the sidelines, but I'll do everything I can to help. So look, I'm not joking when I say, this is not a joke. When I said this when I was running 2020, a lot of people didn't believe me. You did, but you didn't believe me. It's all at risk because of Donald Trump, literally. With a stroke of the pen, he can get rid of a lot of this. And do you think this guy gives a damn about your pensions? No, I'm serious. Do you think he loses even an instant of sleep over it? Do you think he cares about all the work you do every day and how hard it is? Do you think he cares about good paying jobs for hard-working people who built this economy? Hell. He regards picket lines. He'd rather cross one than walk one. Well, I have no problem walking the picket line. Never had. Neither. Nor does Kamala. We'll always walk alongside you.
Project 2025 would get rid of unions. Kamala Harris in Detroit on Labor Day. She said, you better thank a union member.
Benefited from that work. Everywhere I go, I tell people, look, you may not be a union member. You better thank a union member. For the 5-day work week, you better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Because what we know is when union wages go up, everybody's wages go up. When union workplaces are safer, every workplace is safer. When unions are strong, America is strong. We know what we're talking about.
Harris and Walz are pro-union. Kamala Harris said the courts will handle that We will handle November.
Donald Trump is trying to pull us backwards, including back to a time before workers had the freedom to organize. Well, the courts will handle that, and we will handle November. How about that? We'll handle November. Let the courts handle another thing. But we're not done with that.
Trump is a convicted felon and should not be elected president. Our entire country benefits from the work of union workers.
When union wages are up, everybody's wages go up. When union workplaces are safer, all workplaces are safer. And when unions are strong, America is strong. The strength of America is because of the workers of America and the recognition of the dignity of the work that those workers do.
Unions protect workers' rights. Vice President Harris said, I am setting what some, I'm sure, are going to call a very ambitious goal.
Now, I'm setting what some, I'm sure, are going to call a very ambitious goal, but you know what? I think we should admire ambition in each other. So I want to see 25 million new small business applications by the end of my first term. And to help achieve this, we will lower the cost of starting a new business. So here's the thing. On average, it costs about $40,000 to start a new business in America. That is a great financial barrier for a lot of folks, and it can hold entrepreneurs back. And the current tax deduction for a startup is just $5,000, okay? So then you got to make up the delta there. Got to figure out how you're going to do that. Not everyone has access to that kind of wealth and capital. So part of my plan is we will expand the tax deduction for startups to $50,000. It's essentially a tax cut for starting a small business.
Harris is looking forward and not back. Tim Walz continues to be very good at campaigning.
This guy has made it clear how he stands. He's sitting down at Mar-a-Lago after he got elected president, and this was his exact quote. He's talking to a bunch of folks at Mar-a-Lago. You're rich as hell, and we're going to give you a tax cut. At the same time, he was telling workers they get paid too much already. That's who this guy is. You tell me who in Wisconsin is sitting around saying, damn, I wish they'd give billionaires tax cuts and screw me over. Damn, I wish they'd take my health care away. I wish they'd underfund my public school. I wish they would make my job more difficult and more dangerous. And then at the end of the day, I wish they'd make me work till I'm 75 years old. No one's saying that. No one's asking for that agenda. What they're asking for is to be treated fairly with dignity. That's what we have. Look.
Walz said they talk about small government.
I know. We all know this. I remember a time when Republicans talked about things like freedom. They meant it. They would never turn their back on our allies. But that's not these guys. Trump and Vance, when they talk about freedom, means government should have the freedom to invade every corner of our life. They talk about small government, small enough to be in your bedroom, small enough to be in your exam room, small enough to be in your library, telling you the things that you should make decisions about. So let's be very clear. Where I come from and where you come from as neighbors, we respect differences. That's your opinion. Look, we're sitting here together, Brewers and Twins fans, Vikings and Packers. Look, we respect it. But on things like health care, And what books I read and democracy, we all live by that very simple golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Mind your own business. Your Republican neighbors want to live that way. We have to.
Project 2025 is not small government. Walz said, since the very beginning, Donald Trump has been running on the politics of fear.
Since the very beginning, Donald Trump has been running on the politics of fear. Look, I know something about that. I supervised the lunchroom for a bunch of years. Fear is a good short-term motivator, but it doesn't inspire people. It doesn't change their behaviors. And what I did know about that lunchroom too is the bullies who want to instill fear, they're the first ones to find out what happens when the tide turns. He's running scared now. He's running scared.
Trump runs on fears because he can't run on policies. Tim Walz says, I will say this, Donald Trump does know one thing about working people.
Now, we know that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they have a little bit different vision of America. I do say this. He does know something about working people, Donald Trump does. He knows how to take advantage of them. That's what he knows how to do. Every single chance these guys have gotten, they've waged wars on workers in the middle class. As president, Trump blocked overtime for millions of workers. Hell, why pay the bills? He doesn't pay his own. Why should we pay somebody for overtime? What are they going to do? That's what they do. He opposed efforts to raise the minimum wage, for God's sakes. That shouldn't be that difficult. If people put in an honest day's work, they should receive an honest day's pay. And look, I know Wisconsin knows this. Again, give him a working majority because he's a guy who supports so-called right-to-work laws that deprives unions of the funds they need. Everybody here today knows what right to work really means. It means the right to work for less money. It means the right to work in dangerous situations. It means the right to work with no pensions. That's what right to work means. It doesn't help with our ability to collectively bargain and to fight with the dignity of work that we know every single person in America deserves.
Trump never worked a day in his life. Walz said, Republicans have told us exactly what they're going to do in Project 2025.
They have told us exactly what they're going to do. The goals in Project 2025 are clear. It should be subtitled, How to Screw the Working People. That's how it should be listed. When you make it harder to unionize, you make it harder on all workers. Allowing employers to cut overtime pay or even eliminate it. Look, Project 2025 is even going after the 40-hour work week. Let's all be very clear. It's the folks standing here and those whose shoulders we stand on gave us the 40-hour work week and the weekend. So thank you, labor. Somebody said, what's next? Child labor? Hell yeah, it's in there. That's what they've got in there. You see states doing that, putting our children at risk. That's what they'll do. So look, they'll go after things like Social Security and Medicare. And I keep saying this. Repeal the Affordable Care Act. Go back to no pre-existing condition protections. And even if you're not on the ACA, you know somebody who relies on it. And here's what I say. They don't think a damn about Social Security because I guess if you've got $1 billion, you don't care if your Social Security check shows up.
They put their plan, Project 2025 plan, in a 922-page book. Union workers erupt into chants of Trump's a scab.
And if
Trump doesn't give a damn about unions. Walz says there is deliberate effort by some people to make them believe that things are pessimistic.
people who it is a deliberate effort by some people to make them believe that our political system is broken, to make them believe that things are pessimistic. My God, every time I hear Donald Trump give a speech, it's like the next screenplay for Mad Max or something. They're rooting against America. They do not believe in the exceptionalism of this country. They do not believe in the people who built this country. They simply want to complain about them. And by you coming here and talking neighbor to neighbor, that's what inspires people. My wife always talks about this. She said, I don't read the paper to see the movie reviews. I ask people that I know what they think about it. They go, that's the same thing that's going on here. And I think all of you in this room, it's not hyperbole to say, this election could very well hinge on this county here and this field office here and the folks that we get out. That is an awesome responsibility, but it's also an awesome opportunity.
Trump hates America. Vance says, I don't think that I know any Republican, at least not a Republican with a brain, that's trying to take birth control away from people. Jake Tapper had this reply.
I want to protect as many unborn babies as possible. I also think we have to win the trust back of the American people. And one of the ways to do that is to be the truly pro-family party. I think we are. We've got to carry that message forward and actually enact some public policy to that effect.
Is birth control part of that policy, empowering women to be able to make those decisions before they get pregnant?
Look, obviously people need to be able to make those decisions. I don't think that I know any Republican, at least not a Republican with a brain, that's trying to take those rights away from people. But I think it goes deeper than that.
I mean, I could provide a list for you if you wanted.
Well, okay, not anybody I talk to, Jake. But look, I think the more important question is, I talk to a lot of people, a lot of young families who want to have babies. They can't afford mortgages. Yeah. They're terrified about healthcare expenses. We've got to answer those questions for people. We've got to have a role to play because, look, we have a real problem in this country. Not enough American families that want to have children are able to do it. That's how you destroy a nation.
What Vance says is a total lie. It's written in the Project 2025. Trump said some people don't eat bacon anymore.
You take a look at bacon and some of these products, and some people don't eat bacon anymore. And we are going to get the energy prices down. When we get energy down, this was caused by their horrible energy wind. They want wind all over the place. But when it doesn't blow, we have a little problem.
Some people don't eat bacon due to religious and health reasons. It had nothing to do with the wind. Donald Trump admitted that he lost the 2020 election.
10 or 12 million votes, more than anybody had ever got. We got the most votes of anybody, of any sitting president in history. And he beat us by a whisker. And it was a terrible thing. They used COVID to cheat. And it was a terrible thing. And then I watched, and I thought it was very, very sad because of, the election it brought great division to the country.
Trump brought division to the country by not accepting the loss. Trump on COVID, he says, we did a great job.
Coming from, and we did a great job, never got credit for the ventilators, the therapeutics that we did, the robes, the goggles, everything.
The official estimate is that there were 500,000 plus unnecessary deaths due to Trump's tragic incompetence. Trump said immigrants are poisoning our country.
But what's happening to our country is being poisoned, and your schools and your children are suffering greatly because they're going into the classrooms, they're taking the seats, and they don't even speak English. It's crazy. And we have our people that aren't going into a classroom. We have students that were there last year that aren't allowed into the school this year. They're not allowed. It's crazy.
Trump insulted all Americans with that statement because most Americans are immigrants to this country. Trump said Byron Donalds of Florida, that one is smart. Ratings and reviews can help the Black Men in America podcast reach a wider audience, and donations will improve the quality of our content. To donate, just click on the support the show link. Thank you.
He immediately, the first thing he did was approve the Nord Stream pipeline. And then they'd say, Mr. Congressman, oh, look who we have. Byron, stand up, please. Superstar of the future. He's already a superstar, but he's a superstar of the future. Byron Donalds, Florida. Wow, that's nice to have you here. That's good. He's great. He's great. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. That one is smart. You have smart ones and you have some that aren't quite so good. But we have a group of people that are really good. But so
Donald should feel insulted, but he is an Uncle Tom. Trump said they call her the greatest flip-flopper.
But she's just really out there now. She's totally changed her whole policies, everything. I mean, she's gone. They call her the greatest flip-flopper because she's gone for I'll never drill for oil to let's put a well on every street. But she won't do that. If she won, she'll never do that.
I would have to say Trump is the greatest flip-flopper. This has been unearthed. Donald Trump saying he is pro-choice.
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion. I hate it. I hate everything it stands for. I cringe when I listen to people debating the subject. But I just believe in choice.
See, Trump flip-flopped again. A question was asked: if a national abortion ban came across your desk, would you veto it? This is Trump's answer.
Federal abortion bill, if it came across your desk.
Well, you don't need it.
You won't need it, but hypothetically, if it did.
Well, I don't want to answer hypothetically. You don't need it.
Trump knows he will sign it as part of the Project 2025 agenda. Trump said, I won the big case in Florida. I do not know the judge.
Opponent, but there's nobody been treated like me. I won the big case in Florida. That was supposed to be the biggest of the cases. I won the big case. I don't know the judge, but the judge was a brilliant judge, strong, smart, and a brilliant judge.
Trump appointed Cannon. Trump tries to blame the parents for the Arlington fracas.
Should your campaign have put out those videos and photos?
Well, we have a lot of people. We have people, TikTok people. We're leading the internet. That was the other thing. We're so far above her on the internet.
But on that hallowed ground, should they have put out the images of those? I don't know what the rules and regulations
are. I don't know who did it. And it could have been them. It could have been the parents. It could have been somebody.
It was your campaign's TikTok, though, that put out the video.
I really don't know anything about it. All I do is I stood there and I said, if you'd like to have a picture, we can have a picture. If somebody did it, this was a setup by the people in the administration that, Trump is coming to Arlington. That looks so bad for us.
Trump always blames others for his screw-ups. Trump said, I have every other part of your body.
As you deserve, a president who respects you, talks to you, and who levels with you, puts it right on the level, and who always has your best interests, has your back. I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body.
If Trump is elected, Project 2025 will allow him to have total control over people's bodies. Trump said the way Kamala Harris treated Mike Pence was horrible.
But I agree to all these things that I normally wouldn't agree to. Now they have Kamala, who they say has many deficiencies. but she's a nasty person. The way she treated Mike Pence was horrible. The way she treats people is horrible. But the way she treated Justice Kavanaugh during that hearing, in the history of Congress, nobody's been treated that way.
Trump tried to get Mike Pence hung. Trump said, "Who ever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election?"
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up. When people get indicted, your poll numbers go down.
No one ever heard of it until Trump did it. Here's 3 minutes straight of Trump confusing and forgetting people's names, the names of cities he's in, and more.
I think you should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Dr. Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. How good did Elise Stepanek do? You know, we've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great. Jimmy Connors is good. These are also happy. Mike Bolton, John Bolton is here. Mike Bolton, as you know, is in Russia.
There was progress today. I look forward to solving it.
Thank you, Steve. It was Trump's fault. It's always Trump's fault. Can it ever be like Rick Gates' fault? I mean, it's always Trump's fault, Rick. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted it, destroyed all of it. All of it. Because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people. We have some of our great business leaders and leaders, period, right behind me. I may ask Marilyn Lockheed. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. Yes, please, Mr. Kurt.
Thank you very much for your time.
You know what was interesting? Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him? Arrest their leading political opponent, leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done. And Putin, you know, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear.
Thanks for giving your first comments on the bill on this show. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it, sir. Thanks a lot.
You have it, Joe. Thanks a lot. Bye. Joe Bright, this guy is just the worst. So will Christian ever run for president against you? And you heard the prime minister, you heard maybe have Matt Blum speak next, because he's been so incredible in so many ways. He fights so hard. He loves his state. He loves the people. Think of it, a new branch of the United States military, United States Armed Forces, called Air Force. I never talked about that. That's something we never talked about. But what we just saw, we just left pleasure. And a very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. Thank you. So, Sioux City, let me ask you, and the worst president in the history of our country who is cognitively impaired, we would be in World War II very quickly. The worst president in the history of our country will be a fading nightmare. He'll be I have fading memory.
Trump said he was perfect and never mixes up words or forget words when he is weaving. And he is wrong, as you can see. That's it for today's episode of Black Men in America. Remember, the words of our leaders today will shape our nation tomorrow. Stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, stay true to yourself. Until next time, I'm OG FOXXIE, signing off, and may God bless us all. Black Men in America podcast and OG FOXXIE production. Love love, and peace to us all.